Rico Rodriguez received the Awakened form through the Collaboration Festival, and with it he also gained a multitude of abilities and stats. With that being said, he shows a lot of promise out of all of the Collaboration units, because receiving a Awakened form is just another step up. Furthermore, this also means that he might get enhancements in the future, but that is definitely not going to happen for a long time. So let's talk about Rico Rodriguez before he received the Awakened form. As a 6-star, he is painfully below average. His glass grenade and homing grenade breaks are absurdly poor. 45% breaks in this current meta is absolutely terrible. Slingshot boost increases damage against human enemies by 75%, which is a nice touch. Tether had the chance to inflict stop, but that's only useful in arena seeing everyone outside of it is already immune to it. Ruin Kick negates 2 physical attacks for Rico, but it also makes him jump, and that's only good for finishers. Rico is not a finisher, by the way. His Take Cover skill is interesting. It fully recovers his HP and MP, but temporarily removes him from the battle for 2 turns. This isn't bad, since losing out on a damage dealer isn't as dangerous as, say, losing your tank or healer. But at the same time, if you have to rely on this often, it kind of hints that your team is a bit subpar. His triple spray, while decent, isn't something you'd use compared to Chaos Object Homing, which chains with Octaslash attacks and partially ignores the enemy's defense. Now let's look at his 6-star passives. The most notable traits are Man-Eater and Machine Killer, increasing his physical damage against humans and machine enemies by 50%. He also has Impact Resistance, which gives him the chance to avoid dying once. This is an incredible ability found on any unit, so it's rather notable that they gave it to a 6-star back when he was released. He also has an innate dual wield, and further increases his attack if he is holding a gun or fist weapon. Guns aren't the most common weapon choice for the best damage dealers, so using Rico as an alternative would let you raise another unit to deal considerable damage with other weapons. He also has a passive 5% MP recovery, which is a nice bonus on any unit. Furthermore, he has immunity to Blind, Sleep, Confusion, and Petrify. 3/4 of those are quite nice, though he would prefer full immunity to other ailments as well. His Limit Burst is nothing special at his 6-star form, though it does deal more damage than the rest of his attacks. His Trustmaster reward, Protect Grappler G3, increases a unit's attack by 40 and gives them a 25% chance to evade physical attacks. If it's equipped onto a unit from the Just Cause series, it further boosts their attack by 20%. Rico already has an innate 20% chance to dodge physical attacks, so equipping this Trustmaster reward is a nice bonus. The attack bonus here is going to be the real reward though. So let's reveal. Rico at 6 stars is a decent unit, though he's practically worthless in the current meta. His passives are nice, but his active abilities and stats just don't measure up. But his Awakened form is the true star of the show, so let's change his clothes and look what he gets by awakening. Once Rico is awakened, he'll first gain a lot of stats by equipping his Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward, as well as through other passives. But I won't bore you with the numbers. Just know that Rico's stat boosts now make him viable as a damage dealer on par with other units of this current meta. Furthermore, they also increase his Limit Burst damage as well, so it's a perfectly recommended route to give him equipment that can further increase that damage. So let's get into his new active abilities. First off, he learns Back Off, a physical attack that increases his damage the more he uses it consecutively. Once you use it 5 times, it hits its maximum damage boost. At that point, it becomes his 3rd strongest move, surpassing his cooldown abilities but losing to his Limit Burst and Magnus ability damage. Next, he learns Let's Row, a cooldown ability that deals fire physical damage and gives him the fire element. It also increases the damage of all of his other attacks, though that's not going to convince you of using any of his 6-star abilities. It's still a great way to start off a fight though. The next cooldown ability is Up and Away, which increases his attack by 250%, breaks the enemy's defense and spear by 60%, and deals damage. The final cooldown ability that he learns is Supply Drop. It doesn't increase any of Rico's stats, but it instead gives him access to 3 important abilities: Fuel Barrels, Stormwater Patrol Boat, and Storm Chaser. You're going to want to keep this available whenever you can, as they grant incredible boons to your damage during battle. Fuel Barrels decreases the fire resistance of the enemy by 120%, gives Rico's entire team the fire element for 1 turn, and deals fire damage. A 120% Impero is incredible, and giving the entire team an element, even for 1 turn, can lead to a massive increase in damage, especially if everyone can chain. The other 2 skills, Storm Water Patrol Boat and Storm Chaser, don't give your team an elemental imbue, though it does lower the enemy's water or earth resistance by 120% depending on the move that you use. This is useful in fights where the enemy has an incredible amount of resistance to fire attacks, as it gives you an alternate choice. These 3 moves can also be unlocked via his improved Limit Burst. Finally, his Magnus ability, Army of Chaos, deals massive damage to the opponent, though it's limited by 3 uses per battle. As a result, you better choose when to use them wisely. Before it's activated, it'll increase Rico's damage against human enemies by 150%, making this absolutely incredible when facing those type of monsters. However, since this ability is mostly damage, you want to ensure that you have a good setup so you can capitalize on that. And with his active abilities covered, let's get into his important passive abilities. Equipping his Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward is an absolute must for Rico, as it unlocks Rebel Hero, which increases his damage and lets him use gadgets galore, which lets him cast 3 of his abilities per turn. The abilities that aren't included are his jumping move, his recovery move, and his Magnus ability. The ability to cast multiple skills at once will ramp up Rico's damage output rate, making him all the more better. Speaking of his Super Trustmaster reward, the SW9 Assault Rifle is incredible for Rico, increasing his damage output. Another one of his passive abilities, One Man Army, further increases his damage against humans and machine monsters, as well as a bunch of other things. And that's it. But let's face it, all this reveal basically dummied down to was the important abilities and changes to Rico's kit. Anyone could get this from the internet, and I find that most online reviewers tend to just read stuff off and don't actually contribute anything new or useful. So I wanted to impart to you guys a bit of a better gift. Starting at this point, I'll be talking about a sample rotation of Rico Rodriguez's moveset, so you guys will know how to maximize his damage during battle. By the way, make sure you have a chaining partner. As per usual, a friend of Rico would be best, but if you can't, just choose the next best unit you have to offer. So let's begin with turn 1. Here you want to use his cooldown abilities to really make him strong at this point. We'll start with Supply Drop, Let's Row, and Up and Away, in that order. We use Supply Drop to get his 3 Impero skills, then Let's Row to increase his future damage, and Up and Away to further increase his attack. But let's face it, Up and Away has a terrible break included. It only lowers the defense and spear by 60%, so you want to make sure you use someone else to lower it further. Now, turn 2. So now you have his abilities unlocked, his damage increased, and he's practically ready to row. So will you use his Magnus ability? Nope. You want to maximize his damage to the highest degree. So here we'll use one of the 3 unlocked moves, Fuel Barrows, Storm Water Patrol Boat, or Storm Chaser, depending on the element that you want. Normally we'd stick with Fuel Barrows, since Rico's already been given the fire element, but if you have to choose one of the other ones, to make sure that Rico has a way to actually get access to that element for the rest of his attacks, whether that's through giving him a water or earth weapon, or imbuing him with that element. And with that selected, you'd also use Back Off twice. Now that it's the 3rd turn, you've already given Rico everything that Rico has to offer. Hopefully your other units have further increased Rico's attack, or lowered the boss's defenses somehow. So now you use his Magnus ability and unleash that big damage. Now I'm going to give you turn 4, which is always a stumbling point for players, as at this point you either have all of the buffs still up, or you just don't. If you do, use his Magnus ability once again. But if you don't, use your Limit Burst if it's available to give you back the 3 moves acquired through Supply Drop on the 1st turn. If that's not available, just use Slingshot Boost if you're fighting a human, and then use Back Off twice. If you're not fighting a human, use Back Off 3 times. And at this point, I think I'll leave the rest to you. A good method to keep in mind is to save his Magnus ability until you have his best buffs up, and to stick with Back Off or his Limit Burst to deal damage while it's not available. And with that, thanks for watching. Rico Rodriguez is a powerful unit, especially when you face a human or machine monster. Even if you're not fighting either type, his 120% Imperos are powerful enough that you should consider bringing him if you can. Ideally, you'd use him as a main damage dealer, paired with a friend's Rico Rodriguez. You can also pair him with other users with chaining attacks from the Boating Shrike family. If you requested a unit from the Collaboration Festival that hasn't received the enhancement, I'll be putting that off for a bit to wait to see if they'll receive any more enhancements. But at this point, with the Final Fantasy VIII units announced, I highly doubt that that's going to be a thing. Make sure to subscribe for more Final Fantasy unit reviews and comment below if you have a specific unit that you'd like me to review.